Hi guys, POE Noob here. So this is my new interesting build, Perfect Agony Poison Tornado Pathfinder. This build highlights 45 million DPS, which is dot capped, but this number is still meaningful when you fight against like uber bosses or any content that make monsters take reduced damage or you deal less damage. It has decent defense, 80k EHP and healthy max hit. And this EHP is not counting the 2 defensive grafts I will talk about later. It has 3k life recovery from the flask, 130% increased movement speed, and also the tornado can auto target, so which means that for Cyrus or Maven who can randomly teleport, it can just chase them. However, it has a drawback. It is not a S-tier fast mapping build. One reason is because of the damage delay of dot builds, and also because the tornado started from you instead of instantly go to a distance, right? The second reason is because the AoE is not great. However, it is not slow though. I would rate it as a B+ tier. For the budget, so currently for my build setup, it is 20 to 30 divines, and with minimum requirement, it will need around 10 divines, and it will have around 17 million DPS and around 65k HP. So now let's talk about the interesting core ideas of this build. So first of all, we'll make use of a tricky shenanigan of a Plume of Pursuit helmet. So what it says that spell skills always crit on final repeat and will not crit except on the final repeat. So usually what we do is we will support with spell echo, and then you cast once, the first one will not crit and the second repeat will always crit. So it is effectively a 50% crit chance. However, there is a shenanigan with the tornado of elemental turbulence jump. Why? Is because this jump can have a maximum of 3 tornadoes. Okay, so imagine when we cast the tornadoes, if it does not crit, we mark it as N, and if it crit, we mark as C. So when we cast once, it will have an N, and the repeat one will crit, so it's a C, so it's NC. And when we cast again, it's another NC, but it will only have the maximum of 3, so the latest 3 of them is C and C, right? So 2 of them are crit ones, 1 of them is non-crit ones. So if we continue, we cast again, it's another NC, and then the latest 3 ones is also still C and C. So which means that it will always have 2 out of 3 tornadoes will always crit, and it is 66% crit chance. And so with this, it enables the perfect Agony, which said that the crit hit, that for crit hit, the crit multi will apply to the dot multi. And then we will use the Maroney's fallacy for the juicy 288% crit multi to have insane damage. So just a note here, if you're looking at the POB, so for the Plume of Pursuit, I edited this helm to say that it is dealing 10k% increased critical strike chance, so that our crit is always 100%, and then we can just check two stages. So it will be much simpler, much easier to read. So this is our DPS. For now, I only use 1 stage. The reason is because for 1 stage, we already reached 20 million DPS, poison DPS. And if you have 2 stages, it will surpass the dot cap. So it will not be 40, but only 35, so which is not our full potential. So that's why I only check 1, and then you can times 2. So for here, so for the combined DPS, it is 22, and we times 2, so which is around 45 million. Second mechanic is all damage types will always poison. So how we achieve that is with this unique boot, the second last line said that all damage inflicts poison against enemies affected by at least 3 grasping vines. Question is how we inflict grasping vines. So the line above said that nearby stationary enemies gain a grasping vine every 0.5 seconds. However, there is a condition of stationary enemies and we cannot guarantee that, or it's hard for us to guarantee that. So there's another way to inflict, so which is Anointment said that you inflict a grasping vine on hit against enemies with fewer than 8 grasping vines during effect of any life flask. So which works perfectly with the Pathfinder Ascendancy, which said that life flask effect is not removed on full life. So that's how we make sure all damage type, regardless of Fizz or AoE or Chaos, they will always poison, and also we do not need to worry about the poison chance. Also, to boost our damage, we boost the level of the Tornado Gem, while the gem itself, awakened support gems, and also the Dark Seer, and also the implicit from the body armor. So it is 28 level, so which gives high flat Fizz, and then we get Fizz as extra. So one from the hatred, which is around 40%. The other is from the Balance of Terror, which said that you gain up to 40% Fizz as a random element if you cast Element Weakness in the past 10 seconds. Elemental Weakness does not help at all for our build, but we can just cast it on the ground, not on the enemies, to just keep the buff up. Also from this build, we got a lot of buffs from the minions. So first of all, we have Animate Guardian and Guardian Blessing set up to enable the free Hest Aura, and also the AG equipped with the Sign of the Saint Eater, which said that enemies inflict elemental ailments on the AG instead of nearby enemies, which is our player. So basically we are elemental ailment immune. We also have 3 specters. One Perfect Hydra gives us Hatred Aura, the other Warlord Endurance charges, and Carnage Chieftain Frenzy charges. Another minion is from the Servant of Decay, so which will summon maximum of 4 minions, and in total they will grant us 24% less damage taken and deal 24% more damage. So because we have 3 different types of minions which gives us huge buff, so we need to invest into their defense. So that's why we will have 1 medium cluster with minion life, we'll have tattoos for minion life, and we have a flask to also apply to minions. And in the end, so currently the minions are quite tanky, they rarely dies. For our defense, we will have around 85% AoE res, capped spell suppression, around 40% block chance, 24% less damage taken. Petrified Blood, usually Petrified Blood is for low life, but with our life ascendancy, we can always keep the full life, so it is just extra life pool. We also have 3k life recovery and 3 endurance charges, and 2 defensive grafts. One is this elemental aegis ones, similar like that. The other is more like the Motum Shell ones, and they have very high uptime. And as mentioned, we are almost elemental element immune. And from the boost, the last line said that you take up to 50% reduced damage from critical hits. So for the ascendancy, actually I think assassin should also work, because it has the built-in all damage type can poison. However, I still prefer Pathfinder. So first of all, I think they have similar DPS, but Pathfinder is just more tanky and it has better minion recovery from the flask. And second, from this ascendancy node, we will get a poison prolif, so which can help a little bit for the map clearing. Let's get into more details for this build. So first about the gem. So first for the main link, we just support with Awakened, Identifier, Awakened Elemental Focus. Spell Echo is a must. Awakened Deadly Elements and Awakened Unbound Elements. Then we have the auras and reservations. We have a Malevolence for more dot damage, Petrified Blood, Hair of Purity for more fist damage, Flesh and Stone to be more tanky, and Arctic Armor. Be noted that Arctic Armor is optional. The reason is because typically we won't have enough mana to reserve it, but if you have this helmet implicit and combined with one jewel, at least 3% increased mana reservation efficiency, then you will be able to reserve it. Just be noted that this helmet implicit is not that common on the market because nobody really cares to crop it. So if you need it, you can buy a lot of uncropped ones, which is cheap, and you can try to crop it yourselves. Otherwise, just opt out Arctic Armor. For curses, we get Despair and Temp Chance, and also Early Weakness, which we won't cast on the monsters. We also have a AG setup for the blessings, supported with Meat Shield and Haste for the free aura. And for the specters, we support with Meat Shield, Elemental Army, and Minion Life. It needs level 25 to summon 3 of them. So how we do that is we need a 21 gem. If you also need 20 quality, that will be 2 divines. And then from the implicit, you will have 2 additional level, and from the scepter, you will have 2 additional, so which is 25. We also have the Righteous Fire of Arcane Devotion, which gives you free 25% more cast speed. So cast speed does not really help with your DPS, but it helps a lot with your quality of life of the mapping field. Why I said it's free is because first we have high fire resistance and high life regen, and also the burn damage is not based on your life but based on your mana, so our mana pool is much smaller. And last, we will have the travel skill. For the gears, weapon, so Darkseer is the best in slot, both offensive and defensive. Just make sure to get to maximum life, and the other one really doesn't matter whether it's ES or mana. It's +1 or +2, doesn't matter, whichever is cheaper. Helmet, the core item. Shield, get life, +1 gem, block chance, and then fix your resistance. For the body armor, I think this is the best in slot, but another optional one is Lightning Coil. Amulet, Marilyn's Fallacy. This anointment is really important. Make sure don't miss it. These 2 rings, they are really crazy. So with these 2 rings, they will almost have close to 100% chance to inflict additional poison, so which is double damage from the 2 rings. Gloves, try to get life and then fix your resistance or attributes. If you still have free mods, you can get life regeneration rate. From the placet, try to get exposure on hit for any ailment is fine. The reason is because it is needed to trigger this Aegis skill. It's that when you apply exposure to an enemy, it will apply above. For the belt, get life and fix resistance, and most importantly, try to get at least 1 high tier flask mod, either increased flask charges gained or flask duration or reduced charges used. So you can check from the POB, you can check the flask, and you can see in the description down below there is a flask uptime, and it's saying that it's 100% average. Yeah, so you need to make sure the average uptime is 100%, or at least 95% in soft core. It should be fine. For the jewel, get life, resistance, and cast speed on crit, and CB immune if possible. For the boots, for the implicit, as mentioned, we get minion gem level, or if you get that from the helmet, then you can get +1 endurance charge. For the graphs, first one is this elemental aegis. For the prefix, you can actually get up to +2 maximum cold resistance, and from the suffix, you can get this skill also grant +2 to all maximum elemental resistance, which is huge. The other one is the Heart of Flame, more like modem shell. For prefix, here I just got damaging elements deal faster, but it's also possible to get +2 fire maximum resistance, or AoE. For suffix, get either skill effect duration or cooldown, or both, to have a high uptime. For flasks, so for life flask, you must get the divine flask and not internal life flask. The reason is because usually we use internal flask for Pathfinder because it heals faster. But the problem for our build is because we will need the life flask to be active to be able to inflict grasping vines. So we will prefer the flask to last as long as possible. So that's why for the prefix we will get increased amount recovered, and more importantly reduced recovery rate, so that our flask lasts even longer. For suffix, get that it applied to millions. And for the 3 resistance flask, for prefix, always get the increased effect and reduced duration. So make sure it's tier 1 or 2. For suffix, one of them should be additional element resistance. Another is block and stun recovery. And then get a reduced effect of curses, and Quicksilver flask prefix get increased charges recovery, and suffix get reduced shock effect. And then for the AG gears for weapon, so this one for aluminum, and this Foulborn Oppressor is buffed and it is huge for defensive. Helmet, just try to cap your resistances. Body armor, get this for the 10% life recovery to counter the fizz dot from the Guardian's blessing support. This gloves gives huge life recovery rate, and also it can excommunicate enemies, which makes them not deal chaos damage. For boots, get resistance and life recovery rate. So that's for the AG. For the skill tree, so we start from here, we get reservation nodes, and down here we get suppression, here, here, and here. And then we get flask charges node here and here to make it permanent. And this area is all for damage nodes, like fizz damage, and this 5 nodes gives us both fizz and chaos damage, which is double dipping. And going up, we will have the aura effect, reservation, and additional curse. And we go EB so that we do not need to worry about our mana, and we can reserve as much mana as possible. And of course the perfect Agony, the core of this build. For the jewels, balanced terror as mentioned. Then this lethal pride, the main reason is to fix your strength requirement, and also because in this area we have 6 notables and it can give some random mods for the notables. You can see here I get fire res to mitigate my resistance pressure, and fizz damage, and max life. So just get as many useful mods as possible here. And then we have 3 jewels of really juicy mods. So you can see here we have crit multi with cold skills and fire skills and elemental skills. That's because the tornado, it has so many tags. It has fizz, fire, cold, lightning, a lot of different duration, AoE, a lot of tags. So you can actually find a 4 mods with crit multi, but that still can be really expensive. However, if you replace one of them with the increased damage with poison, which the number can get as high as 20, then it can be really cheap. So you can see I have this one here, and this one here. So you can see I have 3% mana reservation efficiency just to fit in the Arctic armor, as I mentioned. For the cluster, large cluster, get the chaos one. Make sure it's 3 notables, and the only requirement is that you will need this node. The only reason is because the Unholy Might grants 25% chance to apply Withered on hit, combined with your Ascendancy another 25%, so it's 50% with Wither on hit, which is just enough to keep up the 15 max stacks. Otherwise, it won't be enough. So make sure this node exists, and the other two. If you want to have exactly the same, it costs 6 divines. But if you can compromise for other nodes, it should be much cheaper. For medium cluster, one with the chaos damage over time, to use these 2 nodes. The other is minion life, these 2 nodes. So life from death, it said that when a minion dies, it recovers other minions 4% life. So how can we make use of it is because we were using the Herald of Purity, which can consistently summon new Herald minions, and it is much squishier than other minions. So it can easily die, and then it can recover life for other important minions. And for tattoos, so if you have enough intelligence, you can tattoo them with minion life or resistance. And for the dex nodes, you can tattoo most of them with the life recovery from flasks. For Pantheon, if you have the block recovery from flasks, then you can pick this one. Otherwise, it's better to pick this one. For the minor one, just get Growth Call. Yeah, so that's all for this build. If you still have any questions, feel free to put it on the comment. I will also link my current POB as well as a minimum requirement POB in the description for your reference. So yeah, see you next time.